Hi, Natalie.
Hey, how are you, Joe?
I'm great. How are you today?
Tired, but doing good.
I hear ya. It's a constant state for me. Hey, it's great to meet you.
You too.
Thanks for taking a minute out. And before we get into your life and what makes you who you are, we went through quite a thing with COVID the last 3 years. How did you get through it, and how has it changed the way that you do things now?
Ooh, interesting. So actually, COVID boomed my business.
Okay.
So I started as a virtual assistant in 2015, and all of a sudden, and COVID happened, and everyone went to online businesses. And I was always a girl, I move around a lot ever since I was a little girl. And so I've always been the girl that made connections online, and I feel like my network expanded. It actually impacted me in a positive way. So
Yeah.
a little different from most people's stories. Yeah.
I think there was a lot of silver linings. I think that we're kind of getting into that there's like a remorse people have because they don't want to downplay what we went through. But I think at the same time, there's probably a level of all of us that needed change or to slow down. There's things that made sense.
Yeah, I was also in Florida. So Florida was still kind of open.
Yeah, I hear that.
So, and we were a first responder family. So we still had daycare and school and all of that because we're first responders. So that was one of the things that like COVID didn't really change much for us. We were already living in like a tiny RV with like no family around us, and we didn't really have friends. So we were homebodies.
I
So,
gotcha. Okay.
uh,
So let's get to the essence of who you are and what you do. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. Okay. One of the kids looks up and asks, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I hope businesses get their business seen online. So by creating their pretty storefront and a website, or helping them teach people across the world online.
So when you were in the third grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Ooh, third grade. My first one was a mom, so I was actually got that one. I always said mom. I was a foster kid, so um wanting to have that be a mom was a big one. But the second one was I wanted it to be a pediatrician.
Okay. So your tagline is foster kid to CEO. Let's go back to the beginnings. Tell me where you were born and raised and what some of the seeds that were put into you to become who you are as a businesswoman now.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Western Massachusetts, so up in the mountains. And I went into foster care at 14 years old
Wow.
when my parents went through, my mom and stepfather went through a divorce and completely changed my world. And my mom just disappeared. She just dropped me off at foster care and disappeared. And both my parents still had rights. My father he was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 10. And so I would only see him on holidays and things like that because he was working on himself. And so, yeah, I went from actually the poor kid from when my biological parents divorced to the rich kid when my mom got married. And then I became the foster kid. So it was a very weird,
Wow.
complex child situation.
Wow.
But yeah, but those situations made me who I am today because it made me resilient. It made me okay with change. My husband's job has us moving every 2 years with his promotions, which we're extremely blessed for. But that's a lot when you're moving a whole family, especially with
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
So, but that life, I was used to it because I was used to, foster care and respites and residential homes and group homes. And so I was always used to going home to home, and it also made me create relationships in a really quick way because I was able to make friends anywhere I go, and that's how I grew the connections I have. And my business actually, we hit 6 figures in 3 months, no ad spend, no money spent on marketing whatsoever, just genuine networking.
Wow.
And yeah, and then I opened that was my virtual assistant agency. I opened a marketing agency, and in 3 months, that one hit 6 figures.
Wow.
So, yeah, no ads.
Yeah, that's wild. I'm curious in your line of work, how many people do you run into that have a really good product, but no one's taking the bait? and then you come along and everything changes. Does that happen? Does that model happen all the time?
All the time. That's pretty much majority. Majority of our clients are trying to hit, they're like right at that 6-figure range, or they're trying to go to 7 figures. And a lot of times, like they've sold, a lot of them are high tickets. So they've sold a couple packages a month, or they're wanting to launch a new, like a book or something, or they have a podcast and they want to monetize that. And they don't know how, like they just get stuck. And I think they also get hung up on how they always done things in the past. But when you're talking about the online world, that's ever changing. And
Yeah.
so even month to month, it's like a whole new process. Like right now, the number one thing exploding businesses I see is summits, because it explodes their email list. But then you have to have a really good email marketing technique. And most businesses, that's where they fail. So yeah, there's so many things that go into it. But yeah.
So in the history of, advertising and marketing campaigns, like national big things that we've all seen in our lives, what's been the most impressive to you?
Ooh, like a particular marketing
Yeah,
campaign.
like a product, something that really like, yeah, it worked.
There's one that I just saw the other day. It was one of the dating apps like Hinge or something, but it says we'll take your one night stand into a 2 night stand, and it had nightstands by the beds.
Nice.
And I think it's those little catchy things that stick in your head. It's like, and it's also so like, I don't know, it's just so unique, right? You want something that is gonna, that took them less than a minute to say and present, and it made an impact. And but I'm showing like short form videos. So any type of advertising that's more in the short form, because TikTok is really huge right now and has been. And so I'm seeing that the short form videos get to the point, something that's for brand awareness. Now, if you're talking about a brand that that's not known, that's a whole nother marketing technique. And those are usually giving value, is the number one way for brands that are not known and big.
It's interesting. I saw an ad campaign for one of those dating sites or apps or whatever, and it was like, our goal is for you not to be our client anymore. Which you're thinking, wait, hold on. But it's true, they want.
Match.com. I
Yeah,
remember that one too.
right. Yeah. So it's clever. And I keep thinking about, from the 80s, there was particular ad campaigns. I heard a podcast, the 30 for 30, on the Battle of the Dans. It was one of those Olympics, and they were triathletes, and there was so much pressure that one of them didn't make the Olympics. And it was Reebok, and they were like, what are we going to do? And they had to scramble, and they ended up making it work. One of the guys was a commentator, but anyway, it's interesting how all that, like even the movie that's coming out now about Michael Jordan with the shoes. I remember watching that story, and everybody in the NBA that was anybody went to Converse, and Nike went after Michael Jordan, and he didn't want to do it, but his mom was like, go and find out. And here we are. It's an empire. So it's wild how things work.
Yeah. It really is. It's just, taking the opportunity by the horns and running with it. It's there's always risks, and you never know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I always preach, start ugly,
Yep.
just start. And it's not going to be perfect, but that's part of the learning process. You're going to perfect it along the way.
It's like the first season of Seinfeld was really, really bad. Just clunky and weird pauses, but they turned into a powerhouse. So it happens. Um, who's been kind of, I would imagine in your position, going from foster care in your life, you would have to have strong people around you. Who's been a role model or a hero for you?
Different seasons. I have had different people. My dad, especially when I hit my 20s, I moved from Massachusetts to Florida to take care of him. He was diagnosed with cancer, and we became best friends. We had never really lived together growing up, and he became my absolute best friend until he passed away in 2018. And just a tragic accident. He survived cancer, survived all these things, and he just died in a really like freak accident. Um, and so he was definitely my support from like my 20s. But ever since I met my husband, he has been my number one supporter, cheerleader. He is amazing in leadership and giving leadership speeches. And so he has really formed me. Also, when I became a CEO, I had no supervisor experience, no management experience, never run a department in a business. So, because I moved around so much, so I was always in entry level positions. And so I didn't know how to grow as a leader. And my husband was definitely the number one supporter for that. But also, not just in business and life as well as a mom. I have two kids, 12 months apart. They're currently 5 and 6, but they were both preemies as well. And this was all, they were born the year I started my business. Actually, I was in labor and I got my first client with my daughter. And
Wow.
so, and my kids are even a really good support system. But besides that, I have my in-laws. They have become my second family, and they're always, they were just helping me. We're coming up with a software to help entrepreneurs, and they were helping me brainstorm name ideas. And it was just so much fun. And we did like a little quick poll and got to vote on it. So yeah, I have a really great support system. It's always ever changing. New people come to my lives for those seasons, and old ones go out. So
Right on. Let me ask you this. If you can meet anybody alive right now on the planet, somebody you admire, who would it be?
oh my gosh, that is such a loaded question, man. There's so many.
Yeah.
It has to be alive, huh?
Well, no, let's open it up. Whatever's best.
um People are gonna think I'm weird, especially older generations, but um oh my gosh, what is her name? I can't even remember her first name, but the Kardashian mom, what is her name?
Oh,
Kim. No, not Kim. It's
Chris. Is it
Chris.
Chris?
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because of she specializes in personal brand marketing. And I would love, she basically built the brand of each of her children behind the scenes. And that's something that like I'm really interested in knowing more about right now. And I would love just to meet her talk about business. I think that's the only thing. I'm not a huge reality show person, but I really
Sure.
love her marketing techniques and talent. Yeah.
I've heard that before, that the level of on the back end of things, how she sets things up and the marketing that she does is pretty ingenious. And you don't hear about a lot of shows that last this long. Reality TV tends to destroy
Yeah.
families, not as if they haven't already been destroyed enough, but they keep going, you know.
Yeah.
So it's wild. Um,
Yeah.
so what is it that motivates you every day to do your job, to do your work, to get through it all? What is the master motivator for you?
Oh, definitely my family. I mean, that's why I do everything I do is for my kids and my husband and to give them the life that, I kind of wish I had, especially in foster care. And just we go on so many amazing trips and family times, and my business just kind of like helps support that. So everything that I do is definitely for them.
Right on. So let me ask you this. Let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life, the things that you've overcome, accomplishments, everything. What would you tell your young version?
Oh man, I would say no, I had a really rough early 20s. So I would say, life sucks right now, but keep on trucking because it's gonna get a whole lot better.
Right on.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. So when you get to the end of that proverbial day, how do you look back and quantify it and say that was a good day?
Ooh, good question. So actually we have this thing in our family where we talk about three positives and one negative. And that always kind of that way there's always more positives than negatives in our day
Yeah.
that we're reflecting on. I think it's always good to reflect on the negatives, but we want to make sure we're focusing more on the positives. So usually a good day to me is I got out of bed and I did something. Sometimes that is hard, especially when I get very overwhelmed and stressed if I have too much on my plate. I have three businesses, I have two children, and I have a husband in law enforcement. I already have too much on my plate. And
Yeah.
so sometimes just getting out of bed is a huge win. And so I like to celebrate all the little things. So whether that was just doing the dishes or, maybe I sent some emails that I've been needing to go out for a while. I try to celebrate every little win.
So of all of the clients that you've had and all of the work that you've done, what's been the best success story? What's been one of the best fan letters you've ever gotten?
Ooh, I love this. Okay, because I love my clients, and most of them are long-term clients. So I've had clients from the very beginning. I had a client that's a business coach. She started out not having any clients and she came to me. She was trying to leave her full-time job as a lawyer, and she just wanted to really become a business coach because she knew she had just had so much experience, especially helping with her husband's business. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know, how am I going to do this online? Am I supposed to like sell courses through emails? So this was a while ago when that was kind of big. And we found software for her, developed a plan. We did courses, websites, we did funnels, automations, we did her social media. And so now today she is over a client as well. I think it's like 7 years later. And just like, she's absolutely amazing.
Right on. So everyone out there has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are. Are you still there? Are you still? There was a little blip there. Are you
Yes.
still?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Okay, yeah, yeah, we're good now. Yeah. I don't know what happened, but it's like everything kind of froze up for a minute. So what I was going to ask is everyone out there has a perception of you. There's pockets and bubbles of people
Mhm.
that see you in a different light, and you obviously have a lot of roles in your life, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you're in control. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Ooh, good question. Um, Who do I think I am? So definitely, I like to call myself a badass mom boss. That's what I just
Nice.
try to. Yeah, so I think at the true heart of it, that's kind of what I am. I wanted to build a business that did not have control over, like, when we work for other people. Actually, I had a job that told me I had 2 days to give birth and then I'd have to go back to work. And that was all the leave they were going to give me.
Wow.
And that's how I started my business because I didn't want any business to have that much control over me. So I know that people really see me as that advocate for women in business. Especially, all my staff are pretty much women or moms or people with families because that's something we need support in when it comes to jobs, and just giving that leeway. And like, we don't have set hours. I boss very differently. So, but a huge part of my life is being a mom, and I kind of center that around my business. And so that's why I think that Badass Mom Boss is like the perfect description of who I am.
Excellent. So, Natalie, if anyone wants to hire you, learn more about you, anything related to your world, where do they go on the web?
Awesome. I'm always coming up with new project systems and so much more. So the easiest way to find all of that is at itsnatalieguzman.com. And you can get I have a really cool freebies. So you can get like a free course toolkit or a free podcast toolkit if you want to start a podcast, and so much more over there. And I'd love to talk to y'all and connect.
Cool. Natalie, thank you. This has been great. I appreciate it. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much. I've had so much fun.
It's wonderful. Thank you. See you later.